Welcome to Golden Blue, everybody, home of the college football fan. And don't forget about the checklist. Hat check, sunglasses check, Pepsi check, notes check, sources check, and thick skin is a check. And don't forget to sing gear to represent your team and yourself in my background. Send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina, 29657, and get yourself a shout out. On to the next video. In case you're wondering, these are the teams that we don't have represented for the mini helmets. As you can see, we actually have quite a few big brands that's not represented here at Golden Blue. I do know that Nevada and Cincinnati are on their way as far as mini helmet representation. So get your team represented here on Golden Blue. We're about to hit 13,000 subscribers. Quick reminder, now that we're about to hit 13,000 subscribers, we will be doing another We Are Golden Blued / I Am Golden Blued mashup video. All you have to do is send a 5 or 10 second clip to my email, refsuck@gmail.com. I'll leave my email address in the description of this video. Wear gear that represents your team. Don't wear West Virginia if you're not a West Virginia fan. And all you have to say is, I am Golden Blued or we are Golden Blued if multiple people are in the video. Last year we did one and it was a great success. I might try to look up that video and leave the link of that video in the description of this video so you can check it out and see what I'm talking about. Hey, you already know what time it is, so might as well sit down, brace yourself, and buckle up because you are entering the speculation zone. Sorry guys, this will not be a Get It Gang video. If you don't know what the Get It Gang is, it's a name that I came up with for the group of people that leave video ideas in the comments section of my videos. So if you think that you have a good video idea, leave it in the comments section and I just might use it on my very next video. Now, today is actually about Sideline Sports Network, talking about the possibility of the ACC and the Pac-12 merging again. They talked about it a while back, kind of died off, but now the Pac-12 and the ACC both are in trouble. So would merging be a good idea? I'm not so sure. I'm going to get into that. But here's what Sideline Sports Network had to say about the situation. Forbes reports that following the Pac-12's media negotiations, talks are likely to resume between the Pac-12 and ACC regarding a partnership known as the APAC, Atlantic Pacific Athletic Conference. Both conferences believe that the merger, the word merger was used right there, would lead to greater media deal in 4 years' time. Would you be in favor of seeing the two conferences merge? Not so sure that that would be a good idea. Remember what I've been talking about over the past couple of weeks. The Pac-12 has been a soap opera. First, it started off as Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, jumped the line and nailed down a TV deal with the Big 12, even though the TV deal for the Big 12 expired a year after the Pac-12's. It wasn't a great TV deal. It's worth about $31.5 million per team per year, but it is a solid TV deal. George Kliavkoff, on the other hand, is like, no, I'm going to have a bidding war. I think the Pac-12 is worth a lot of money. He opened the door for the bidding war, and it has turned out to be a fiasco. First, we heard that ESPN was actually going to give them a decent TV deal. Not great, but decent, worth around $35 million per year. Then we heard that, no, actually, Amazon is going to carry the Tier 1 rights, but ESPN will do the Tier 2, Tier 3 rights. And the total deal would be worth around $25 million per team per year. So, yeah, that was a drop, but at least it's a TV deal, right? Well, then we heard that ESPN actually pulled their deal because of Disney cutting jobs, and they were only going to offer $10 million per team per year. So you combine that with the Amazon offer, and it's only $20 million per team per year. Then after that, we heard that actually Apple emerges as the main target as far as a Pac-12 partnership for their media deals. But all the university presidents vehemently, and that's the word that was used, vehemently, were against that option. They did not want to go 100% streaming. After that, Brent McMurphy posted a tweet saying that Apple TV didn't even offer a deal and that the main party that might be interested in a TV deal with Pac-12 was actually Ion TV. But then another source said, no, they actually talked to Ion TV and they had no idea what Brent McMurphy was talking about. So who knows what's going on in the Pac-12? I don't know. Do they have a TV deal? Do they not? If they do, who is it with? They haven't announced anything, so I'm inclined to think that they don't have a TV deal. So now they're thinking about merging with the ACC, and now we're hearing that the ACC also has issues. On Friday, I heard that the Florida State Athletic Director came out and said, no, we're not happy with the ACC. We want unequal revenue share, or we might think about leaving the ACC. Even got together a legal team to figure out what the actual buyout to get out of the ACC was. And then yesterday, we heard the Clemson Athletic Director saying it is a need for unequal revenue share. So both the Pac-12 and the ACC are having problems, and they're thinking about a merger. I don't know if that's a good idea. So let's go through the pros and the cons for an ACC Pac-12 merger. First up, the pros. Number one, it could possibly create stability. In other words, calm the seas. Not quite sure it would make the problems go away, but it would provide stability because I do think that a merger between the ACC and the Pac-12 at least guarantees a TV deal. Don't know how good it would be, but it would be a TV deal. The second pro would be possible increase in revenue. I mean, there are some good brands in both the ACC and the Pac-12, but remember, ESPN only has so much money that they can spend, and right now they're getting pennies on the dollar for the ACC. The third pro is increase the ACC numbers needed to dissolve the grant of rights, making it basically impossible. So the people that looked into the grant of rights, what they told me as far as how the ACC grant of rights could go away was basically 8 universities could vote to dissolve the ACC, and there goes the problem. Well, if you do a merger, then that number increases dramatically, and it's basically going to be impossible to dissolve those grant of rights. The fourth pro would be ensure existence. Yes, I do think it would ensure the existence of this APAC for at least a decade. However long this new deal or grant of rights will last, I think they would take the current grant of rights and use them and go to 2036 at least. And finally, the fifth pro would be might increase the likelihood of Notre Dame joining as a full-time football member. So those are the pros. Here are the cons. Well, the first thing is it would combine the problem of both of the conferences into one big conference. Now, actually, the problem of the Pac-12 might go away because they would have an actual TV deal. But we still know that Oregon and Washington eventually want to end up in the Big Ten. Does that go away? Would they be satisfied in being in the APAC? I don't know. The second thing is crazy travel and logistics issues because you have the ACC on the East Coast and you have the Pac-12 on the West Coast. So there would be some logistics and travel issues that they would have to figure out. The third con is bigger brands in the ACC want unequal revenue share. We're talking about Florida State and Clemson that we know of, could be more, which could make Oregon and Washington want the same thing if the ACC and Pac-12 merge. And we've already heard a while back rumors that Oregon and Washington already wanted unequal revenue share if they remained in the Pac-12. So that virus could actually spread. The fourth con would be might not increase the revenue and teams end up getting a smaller cut. That would be a bad con right there. And finally, the last con, the fifth con would be having 26 members makes having pods almost impossible. So the way to correct that con is to add 2 more members. So the ACC could maybe add West Virginia and Memphis, or if Notre Dame joins as a full-time football member, just add West Virginia or Memphis. And you probably think that I'm going to go the route of West Virginia joining with Notre Dame. Nope, I am not going down that road again. We're going to go with Notre Dame and Memphis. Here's what it could look like. And I'm going with 4 pods of 7 teams. Haven't come up with the names, so feel free to list your ideas for the names of each of these pods for the APAC. The first pod would be Washington, Washington State, Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, Cal, and San Diego State. Because that graphic that I put up there from the Sideline Sports Network post did include San Diego State and SMU. I think that pod makes the most sense. I think it eases travel concerns, and there's a lot of rivalries in there. You're ensuring the Washington State rivalry, Washington-Oregon rivalry, Oregon State rivalry, and Stanford and Cal rivalry. Next pod would be Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, SMU, Memphis, and Louisville. This is where the two sides kind of combine and come together. You have Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, SMU out of the Pac-12, and then Memphis and Louisville would be out of the ACC in this merger. I think this makes the most sense considering travels and logistics. You're keeping Arizona State together, Utah, Colorado together. SMU and Memphis provide a bridge for Louisville. So I think travel concerns would be minimalized if you use this pod. The next pod would be Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and Notre Dame. You're keeping Virginia Tech together, Pitt, Virginia Tech together, Boston College, Syracuse together, Syracuse, Pitt together, and Syracuse, Virginia Tech together. I think it makes sense when it comes to travels and logistics as well. And finally, the last pod will be North Carolina, Duke, NC State, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and the Miami Hurricanes. You're keeping North Carolina, Duke together, Duke, NC State together, and NC State, North Carolina together. Also, Clemson, NC State, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Clemson, Florida State, Miami Hurricanes, and Florida State together. That'll be a great pod and a lot of rivalries sticking together. So y'all have in the comment section. Number 1, do you think this happens? Do you think the ACC and the Pac-12 finally merge? The second thing is, do you think the pros outweigh the cons, or do you think the cons outweigh the pros? Third thing is, if they do merge, do you think they can convince Notre Dame to finally join as a full-time football member? Or does that actually negate that clause since it's actually a merger? Would that be a legal contingent that the ACC still exists or no longer exists since it's the APAC? And finally, if this merger does happen, do you think that it guarantees the existence of both the Pac-12 and the ACC for at least another decade? That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.